Okay, you are welcome once again. This session focuses on data in the budget tracker with the previous session 11. Here, we are going to use more functions, create a professional chart to visualize our spending, conditional formatting to automatically highlight key information. So in our last session, we built a simple but fantastic budget tracker and made it do maths for us. But today, we are going to make the numbers talk. A list of numbers is just data, but the goal here is to get insights from the data. So we are going to learn how to analyze our spending, create a visual story with charts, and make our budget tracker more intelligent. So, is your biggest monthly expense your rent, your food, or your data plan? It's hard to tell by just looking at a list of numbers. So in this session, you will learn how to make your spreadsheet tell you the story of your data instantly with a chart. You'll also learn a pro-level trick to make your spreadsheet automatically flag problems for you. For example, when you have gone over your budget, or that is when you have overspent on an item, the spreadsheet would flag that item for you. So by the end of this session, your budget tracker won't just be a list, but a dynamic dashboard for your financial life. Okay, let us start by first analyzing our budget. The data we have already entered in the budget tracker. We are going to use three important functions to analyze our data. Before we start, we need to open our spreadsheet. So I'm going to go to Microsoft Excel, and I will click on budget tracker, which we created earlier. Now here I'm going to add more items. So I'm going to add call expenses. Now this is personal, so I have three categories here. My budget for call expenses is 5,000 naira for the month, and I spent 5,500 naira. Okay, then let's say bought television. This is household. Okay, now the budget is 200,000, and bought it for 185,000. Okay, then bought Gary for the month household. The budget is 30,000. Finally spent 35,000. Okay, bought beans household with a budget of 15,000 and spent 17,500. Okay, then data personal. Okay, my budget for data is 6,500 for the month. I finally spent 8,500. Okay, let's stop here. Now, first of all, we are going to introduce the formula. Like I told you earlier, whether you are using Google Sheets or Excel, it's still the same thing. Here we are just using Excel. Let's increase this font size so that you can be able to see what we are doing. Okay, here now I'm going to copy this thing and convert this to a range. Paste it here. Okay, I want to maintain the source column width. Expand this a bit so that I can see the entire figures. Now, this is also a table, but I'm going to make it a range. So I'm going to go here to table design tab, and I'm going to say convert to range. Yeah. Yes. So this is no longer a table again, it's now a range. So here, let's do some analysis here. Let me put average expenses. Okay, maximum spent and minimum spent. Okay, the essence of putting up these things is to be able to identify the amount that we have spent. Now, before that, I'm going to insert a row here. Right click here and select insert. Okay, the essence of inserting this row is to put up our total expenses, or just totals. Okay, here these totals, we are going to calculate the total amount we budgeted, the actual amount we spent, and the difference. So here I'm going to put sum. Earlier we did that, equals sum from here to here. So this is C2 to C9. Then you press enter. So our total expenses is this 351,500 total budgeted expenses, sorry. Then the actual expenses, the same thing. So I'm going to use autofill to fill this size. So this is it. Okay, so here we actually spent 341,500 and we're having a difference of negative 10,000. That means we spent less than we budgeted. That's great. Okay, so to get the average is going to be on our actual expenses. So here we are going to use equals. Okay, let's just do it the same way. Equals average. So you type average. So here we select average, and we are averaging from C2 to C9. You press enter. We're going to increase the font. So the same formula, we are copying it over. So the average expense, the amount spent on each item is 2,687 naira 50 kobo, while the budgeted amount is approximately 44,000 naira. Here we are spending approximately 43,000 naira, and the average difference is 1,250 naira in negative. So to get the maximum amount spent, we use the formula maximum, and to get the minimum amount spent, we use the formula minimum. So here we are going to say equals minimum. You type min, mean, you select it, and we choose the C2 to colon C9. So for the budget, the maximum amount, sorry, this is supposed to be maximum, not minimum. So here in our formula bar, we change that to max, which is maximum. Okay, so press enter. Okay, so the maximum amount we spent is 200. We budgeted for an item is 200,000, and the minimum equals mean C2 to C9 colon C9. The minimum, let's still increase the font, please. Okay, so the minimum amount we budgeted for an item is 5,000 naira. So we are going to move it to see the actual expenses. Okay, so that is it here. So here the maximum amount spent is 185,000 naira, and we had a difference of 5,000 naira in between there, and the minimum amount spent is 5,500 naira. Okay, giving rise to a negative 15,000 naira. Okay, so this is how you analyze your budget, your tracker. This is the totals. So here, when you analyze, you see the average amount you budgeted and you actually spent, and most importantly, the maximum amount you spent on an item and the minimum amount you spent on an item. So all put here. Meanwhile, if we continue to use the table we are using, we are using a table. Like I told you earlier in the last session, here I'm not going to add total because total is going to be part of the table. As I added total, now you see the table has expanded. So I'm not going to put total here, because after putting total, if I want to add another item here, let's say food. When I went to work, I had to eat a food. Now you see the thing has also expanded. Now total has become part of the table. So what I'm going to do is, each time I want to analyze this table, get a data, I will simply select a cell in the table, go to table design, then I'm going to select the total row. Now you see the total row giving me the total. Now this is exactly the same thing we did earlier. Exactly the same thing we did earlier using range. So you notice that everything is still the same thing. So the total for the budgeted amount, the total for the actual amount, and the total for the difference. Now, because if I want to get average now, instead of total, I can change this thing to average. So here I'm going to select average. Sorry, I'm going to change this to average. instead of total. So here I'm going to select this cell and I will click on this drop down arrow and I will select average. The same thing here, I will select average. The same thing here, I will select average. Now the limitation of using this is that I am going to be analyzing one at a time. So I cannot come and add maximum here again because I'm not going to have another total row again. So what it means is when I finish up with the average, I'll also go ahead and do the maximum and go ahead and do the minimum. So to get the maximum, I will change this to maximum and I will change each of the cells. Now the beauty of using the table is that you don't need to come and struggle with trying to put in your formula or know which particular function to use. That's the beauty of using a table, the table total row. Whereas when you are using range as we use here, you have to enter the formula for each of them, the average, the minimum and the maximum. But here you just select the particular one you want. Now for the minimum, you can select minimum. Now you notice that there are still quite other functions that you can choose. You can also choose more functions and select the one you want. Okay, so that is how you analyze your data roughly. I'm going to do the same thing using Google Sheets. Okay, to use Google Sheets, you have to open up your browser and type docs.google.com and your Google platform opens up. Now because we are working with Sheets, we going to paste it back here in Google Sheets. So I'm going to paste it in Google Sheets. Okay, so now that is it, pasted. Although it's going to the whole thing is affecting the data because this is not the format. Okay, let's do this. Of course, I'm not going to be typing everything. Let me just add just one or two. Call expense, that's personal, and the amount there is 5,000, 5,500, 5,000, then 5,500. Okay, so let's stop here. Now, similar to working with a range, you can add another sheet here, then copy these things and make it a range. So it's similar, but I'm not going to be doing the whole of that because of our time. So here I'm going to just say, you simply have to say equals. You're going to simply say equals. Let me see. Okay, let's zoom in this thing. 125. Okay, so make it a little bit bolder. So we are going to say equals for here, and say equals. We're not using some average. Okay, so equals average. I'm going to copy this down there. Okay, so it's giving me the average for it's still giving me exactly the projected amount average. Okay, so here is the same thing, equals average my budget tracker. Then this one is now actual amount rather than projected. Now the same thing you do for the difference if you want. Now that's for average. Now for minimum, still equals minimum, so you type minimum, and when you select minimum, we are going to choose just this, which is budget tracker projected amount. Exactly, so that's what we are selecting. So that gives me minimum of 5,000 naira. The same thing you do here, equals minimum. So budget tracker. Now then here you do the same thing, equals maximum, and you select maximum here, and it's showing you by budget tracker actual amount. Then you press the tab key, please. It's the tab key that I'm pressing to get the results. Okay, so this is how you get the average, the minimum, and the maximum amount, and that's the analysis you need for here now. Okay, I'm deleting it, so we have already gotten that ready. Now if I select this and I'm going to go through the table summary, and I'm putting on the formatting, and I show the table footer. Now note that in the table footer here I am doing the calculation here, and this is giving me the total amount. Okay, so like I said before, while working with Microsoft Excel, you have to choose which particular function you are going to use per time, because if you add another function down here, let's say average, this is going to extend the table. So, and when you continue, the table will continue also, so you will not get the exact calculation that is needed. So here, if we now want to get the average, you check on here that when you selected, this is the total, and when you look at the formula bar, you notice that this is sum here in the function. So what we need to do is to change the function from sum to average. So you notice the average as shown. So we now press enter, so that will give us the average function. So you do the same here and do the same here. Then if you want to do mean, that is minimum, you also change this to mean, and once you take the mean, you press enter. And if you want to do max, you also change the function to max. Okay, so that is it. Okay, so that's how you get your calculations done. Now let's start with Excel. Our Excel sheet is still here. Okay, so I'm going to remove the total row, go to table design, then select the total row to deselect the total row. Okay, so we are going to perform this calculation on the actual amount rather than the budgeted amount. So what we are going to do here is to select the items rent, rice, call expenses, and data, then hold the control key, then select the budgeted amount. Okay, Okay, so I've selected this column and this column. Then go to insert. Under insert here you see charts, and we're going to work with pie charts. Actually, you can click on recommended charts, and these are the recommended charts you can use to chart this particular data. This bar charts. Okay, so you call this column chart, this horizontal bar chart. Then this is pie chart, so this is what we are going to use. This is funnel chart, and this is Pareto chart. But what we really need here is pie chart, which is going to share the items as a percentage of the total. So we click OK. Okay, that's it. Quite simple. Now looking at this, you understand that this one here with this color has the highest, but I'm going to increase it a bit, so you can change the title of the chart. As I clicked here, you can double click inside and change the title of the chart to our budgets, or monthly expenses, percent. Okay, so when you select here, you notice that you have these three icons here. This one is for the chart element, this one is for the formatting, which you are going to use to do the chart styles. There is a formatting. Then here we also have the another formatting, which you are going to use to checkmate the values of your chart. But we are leaving all these ones. Go to the chart element. We notice that we have the title and if we want to include the data label inside, so we select the data label, but we don't need that here. Then the legend is here, so I can decide to remove the legend, but it's also okay to get the legend. Now we go to this chart styles. I want to place, because since I'm not using the legend, I want to place the items inside the slices. So I will look for the particular chart that is going to give me exactly what I want. Okay, this gives me just the percentages right inside the chart. This gives me the percentages right inside the chart. Okay, which is still okay, and also gives me the legend by the side, so that you can know which particular one. So this let's continue. This also gives me the percentages inside. This one now tries to label them, so I will select this one. So this one gives me the label of each of the items. Now looking at this one gives me both the labels and the percentages. So the chart style is what you are going to use to choose the particular style you want your chart to look like. So like this one now, I've selected, I think I prefer this. So this shows that television takes up the highest, that's 54% of the entire expenses, followed by rice, which takes up 17%, followed by Gary, which takes up 10%. Then let's see, transport takes on 5%, and the beans, both of them 5%. Then rent takes on 4%, and that is it. So you can move your chart to one corner so that it will not block the data. So like this is okay, and that is it. Okay, you can still do the same in Google Sheets. So let's go to Google Sheets now and do the same thing. What I'm going to do is to go to, select this chart and click on these 3 dots here, the ellipsis, and I'm going to select edit chart. Okay, so here now I'm going to select a chart type. So I'm clicking here on the chart type, and you notice there are different charts, but you also notice that there are suggested ones, which is similar like to recommended charts in Excel. So we need pie chart, so I select pie chart. Okay, so having selected pie chart, you can now edit the chart. Now look at the labels, and can go to customize. You notice the chart style and their background, which you can choose from. Then you also notice the pie chart itself. So it depends on what you really want to do. So these are things you can customize. You also notice we have the pie slice. Now the slice here, you can decide to change their colors. It depends on what you also want to do. So depending on the one you select, these are the items on the list. Okay, so you can also go to the chart axis and check if you want to change anything. But for here in the chart axis, you notice that we have chart title and subtitle. So for the chart title, you see that we have actual amount there, but we are going to change it to monthly expenses. Monthly expenses. So okay, so that's the one we are going to change. So we also have the legend here, so it depends on what you really wanted. Okay, so that's it. So I can place the charts here. Okay, it's okay here. Okay, now notice that you can also increase the number of items, but first of all, remember to remove the summary, footer summary. Okay, so this is how you create your charts. Next, we are going to include conditional formatting. Okay, so the final step we're going to take here is to include conditional formatting. Now, the essence of are you using conditional formatting is so that it can help you highlight areas where there is a negative difference. Basically, most times after your budget or you can also let it highlight areas of positive differences. As if you spend more than you budgeted, it can flag it using maybe a red background or red text or both, depending on how you want to configure it. So let us start with Excel. So we go to our Excel and we select the difference. This is the area that we really wanted, the difference. Okay, so here you notice that we have under home, there is what we call here conditional formatting. Dark red text, that's quite okay. Yellow fill with red text, red border, and the rest of them. So let's choose the light red with dark red. Okay, so we click OK. Now you notice that even though I have not clicked OK, that the negative ones are already highlighted here. So now if we choose light red fill, it's also going to change. Okay, now click OK. So it uses light red fill to select those that are the difference column. Okay, with the difference column highlighted, I'm going to go to format. Okay, remember the other one is in the home tab, so here I'm going to go to format and I will select conditional formatting. Now from the pane that appeared on the right, which says you should apply your conditional format rules, this selected range has already been selected here, so apply to range, which is this E2 to E5. Now the rule is going to be format cells if, okay, now we are going to say if less than, so here, so you notice there are so many other things you can do. So we apply the value of 0 if less than 0. Okay, so if it's less than 0, so we can apply this, you can apply this, you can apply this. Now you notice that in the default rule, this is already applied. So if I select this, this will be applied. If I select this, this will be applied. So these are fields that you can apply by default. So you can select for the text rather than using fill. You can decide that the text should change this color to this color. But here in this case, I'm not going to use the default rule. So what I'm going to do is to use custom rule, whereby I'm going to choose red fill. So this is a fill color. So I will apply red fill color to that particular cell, and I will change the text, because you notice that using that red fill that you are not seeing the text clearly. So I'm going to change the text. Let me see if I use a yellow text here, how it will look like. Great. Okay, so I've chosen to highlight it with this. Okay, so that is it. Now there is something that is supposed to be basic that I'm going to do. Remember, this highlights to this. I can extend this highlight so that whenever, let's assume that I include okay, let me include Gary and beans here, and I have Gary, which is household stuff, and how much is Gary here? Gary here is 30 times 35,000 was spent, so 30 and 35,000 was spent. Okay, the difference here, what Okay, let's turn it the other way around. Let's say 35,000 and 30,000 was spent. Now you notice that the rule did not reach here. The rule did not reach here. So what I'm going to do is to extend the rule. Extend the rule. So let's change the rule. It will now get to 6. But the thing that we should have done is to use the table what is it called? The table reference to enter it here. But we are not going to do this here. In a later tutorial we'll handle that because of our time. So what if you use the table reference here, it means that whenever the table expands, the reference remains the same, and this will also continue. Okay, so this is where we are going to cap it up for today's session. See you next week for another exciting section. We've accomplished. You've taken a blank sheet and built a dynamic analytical dashboard. You can now enter data, analyze it with formulas, visualize it with charts, and highlight key insights automatically. I want to know your questions. If you have any question, kindly put them in the comments box so that we can reach out back to you with the answers, or include your questions in the subsequent sessions. It is to complete this project using your own real or estimated expenses. So you are going to, number one, complete your personal budget with at least 8 to 10 or up to 15, 20 of your own monthly expense items. Then number two, you are going to create a pie chart showing the breakdown of your actual costs. Then you apply conditional formatting to your difference column to highlight any overspending. The goal is for you to have a genuinely useful tool that will help you learn how to use spreadsheets. I love to hear from you, and I would love you to share your experience with this homework in the comments. Okay, it's always been amazing to see the different ways people approach their work. It's been amazing going through this journey with you also. So this week you've tackled what many consider a difficult topic using, and you have already created something amazing. So by next week we are going to bring our creative side back as we learn how to design engaging and persuasive presentations. So we're going to look at presentations next week. So see you on Wednesday next week at 7 p.m. same station. Thank you.